Adam Stark here. Today I want to talk about my very best idea for a fighting game, Kung Fu style martial arts game. This is an idea that I don't think it'll ever happen, but I'm telling you, this is the best idea for a video game that I've possibly ever had. If you look at my channel, I've had several others, but this, I think, is the kind of game that could appeal to almost every type of gamer there is, right? So I don't have a title for it or anything, but this is just all the ideas I have. Throw it into one game, one experience, and I think this would be just amazing, perfect. Totally be played a lot, played every day. So get the obvious things out the way, things that I always believe every great game should have, which is one, good graphics, good sound, obvious things like that, right? And split screen capabilities, something that is very much dying out these days. And of course, the ability to play most of this game offline, without internet, without a subscription, so that you can play with like bots and stuff, computer players, so that eventually when online servers die down, you can still enjoy it and still play it, the base experience and stuff, and have them be smart artificial intelligence and stuff. Okay, that stuff is obvious, but I just always like throw it in there anyway, in case, whatever. So here's the ideas I have, right? For one thing, believe me, when I explain it, it'll make sense, but first-person view, okay? Most fighting games are not, but this one absolutely must be first-person view. When I explain it, it'll make a lot more sense, because yes, typically you think third-person view for fighting games, especially crazy fighting games. Now, another thing, I want this game to be a tad bit educational, because I think it could help to its own merit if it is, in the sense of there's how many fighting styles, there's how many self-defense styles, how many martial arts styles, there's too many to name. You know, there's like more than an alphabet's worth to name. So imagine having all of those like available for your custom character. I think that's perfect. I think that's great, because then, you know, therefore people that would watch it, you know, who know these fighting styles, they could look at it and say, oh, you know, that's my style. Oh, they got this right. This video game was programmed right for that style, like it's accurate. Then therefore it could also subsequently be educational on top of the fun factor that it's going to have, of course. All right. Now, the reason I'm saying first person view, okay, so many games in the past have done a great job of basically putting it so there's directional awareness, directional aiming. So like when you are using, like a good example is like Bannerlord and Mountain Blade Warband, the Mountain Blade games, because, you know, you have to aim where you're blocking. Of course, those are with weapons, understandably, but I'm saying with your fists, hands, you know, legs and stuff, the ability to aim and center exactly how you're going to do your movements would be a key factor in this. I think it would be great if it's actually implemented well, and I don't think it has been done yet, but I think if we challenge ourselves, it can happen with the game that I am making up in my head. Of course, that'll probably never actually get made, never happen. So, but basically, imagine the ability, right, to aim where you want to aim, and not just that, but also, you know, do feints and parries and stuff, and you know, set up your next moves where if you already pressed, you know, the jab in the middle of a punch, then it knows to do that next and stuff. Like some games have already done a great job of, like Chivalry, Medieval Warfare 2, like that is a good example of, you know, I already did a chop and I'm this far in, but then I pressed another button for a jab, so it knows when I complete that animation to follow through with the jab, you know, etc. And so I feel like this with the Kung Fu game would be very cool. I think it can be done. I think it can be done very well, as a matter of fact, right? And so on top of all that, I think the one thing that would be so cool is something that I haven't seen yet, and if there is games that do this, pardon me, I'm not perfect. I haven't played every single game in the world. But you ever notice how when you have these types of games, if you're walking or running into someone you're fighting, it's almost like there's an invisible wall there when you're running, because I could be literally running and I'm right at them, like they're right here on me. And what happens, unless I hit a hit button of some sort, kick, a punch, a jab, a elbow, or whatever, it's like they don't move or nothing. We need to somehow implement like a spatial awareness physics engine in this game where it doesn't always have to be when you hit someone or press an attack button, but just if you merely run into them in some form or fashion, they could topple over or trip a little bit or just get a little bit of damage taken. Or, if there's like, because of good physics that I want, if there was like a table behind them and I ran into them, not only would it push them backward, but it might bend them against a certain part of their body, maybe their abdomen or something against the table, and like hurt them that way that you didn't even know would happen. Just like so many cool things that can potentially happen if this is done right and if this is done well, of course. And I'm telling you, I feel like it can happen. Will it is another story, of course. Sorry, my camera seems to be moving here. So these are great ideas I have. Now, this is another thing that is a must do that bothers me even with games I absolutely love, even games that I own and love and play to this day that are combat based, is whenever you press like an attack button, and I'm saying that vaguely because it can be a kick, a jab, a punch, a whatever. I hate when it's like almost always looks the same, where it's like if you press punch, and again, it looks exactly the same. And I'm not saying the generic way I just did it, as in that kind of the way of the same, but just in the sense of, sorry, this camera's moving, but in the sense of like, it looks very, very, very similar. I feel like there should be a way to program it where it is random, in the sense of maybe program it so each type of button animation, punch, knife hand, jab, uppercut, haymaker, elbow, knee kick, whatever. I don't need to go through all of them, but with each of those specific types of attack buttons, there should be like maybe 20 different possible animations. That way, if I'm standing somewhere and I'm pressing punch, it's not going to look like the same punch every single time. It'll be varied a little bit, because therefore the immersion is going to work better. It's going to have more realism in that sense, and I think it can be done, and I think it can be done well, because then it adds such a great variety, where to the point of no fights looking the same, which is what I would love about this. And just wait till I get to the best part at the end of this idea. So all of that I already said, the umpteenth different fighting styles, including ones that are not as popular, maybe ones that you don't see much of, but put it in this game anyway. And again, I can just see some cool brawls happening. And just imagine if it's done really well, right? Where you have to have some kind of a health system, of course. Now, I imagine like you have a health bar, and I'm not saying it has to be visible or anything, but let's say it's 100, right? I think every 20 points of damage, which is also 20%, since we're talking about 100, that becomes your new maximum health that you can regenerate to. Because otherwise, imagine if I beat you almost to death and you just wait in a corner and you magically regenerate to full health. No, that wouldn't make much sense, would it, right? If you have a bloody nose, if you have a black eye, if you have crazy blemishes and tears on your skin and stuff, that wouldn't work. It would lose the immersion and realism. So, and I know it's a video game, so realism, yeah. But, so I feel like every 20%, if you cross that threshold of taking that much damage, then you can only regenerate to that 20%. So that final 20% is going to be vital to play your best play your smartest, I guess, to try and win. So, anyways, and I feel like this is a kind of game that it has to be so random to the point that technically a fight could be over within like 3 seconds if the one player or computer player or whatever is lucky enough to throw an amazingly perfect couple hits that are not dodged, not blocked, or whatever, and it just hits the right spots, the temple, the throat, followed by the whatever, and it does enough to actually get a successful knockout and fight over. I want to make it so that is possible, not that it would happen frequently, of course, but that it is a possibility. Again, adding to the intensity of these fights that'll happen, right? And so another thing I think would be great, okay? Anybody that knows me knows I love Hong Kong kung fu flicks. I absolutely love Jackie Chan, Yuen Biao, Sammo Hung. I'm just a huge fan of that era and those fights, and no movies have done fights better than they have, and that was before CGI and all this other crap came in and ruined most kung fu movies and such. But so I feel like what would be cool is some kind of a system, right, where, and this can all be customized, because I also love in games when you play with bots and stuff, when you have customizable options so you can play it the way you want to. Do you want your player to have, 3 times as much health or whatever? You know what I mean? Just let's try. But I feel like there should be a special moves system, but here's what I think would be good, to the point where it's not overpowered and ridiculous and overbearing, is imagine if it's like, okay, if you, I don't know what it is, so don't quote me or whatever, but it's because this is all made up game anyway, but it's like, hey, if you successfully block 3 attacks, or every 3 attacks, I should say, you block or something, then you can activate your special move thing. And I don't want it to be an automatic where you press the special move so you're automatically gonna deliver them damage or something. No, I don't want it to be cheap or anything. I want them to still have a chance to block it, albeit difficult to, but just those crazy moves that you've seen, like my heroes in movies do in Hong Kong. I'd like to, like, you press that special move, or the computer player does, that they've earned doing whatever the challenge is, and then in that moment, they might do some kind of a crazy backflip kick, or some jump off the wall somersault, kick you in the face, or some tumble over a table and then do like some kind of a scissor kick from it or whatever. Doesn't mean it will land, doesn't mean it's automatically going to work, but an attempt to do it where it's like those really cool parkour effects, or some kind of a, like I said, one of those just attacks that are just like remarkably harder to dodge, So, and anyways, that's just something cool like that to, again, add variety and make it intense, because then you don't know when such and such player or computer player is going to activate those. And so then each fight's going to be crazy. I imagine some of the maps we would put in this game, I want to see like an old tea shop. Could you imagine that, with all those tables and all those glass dishes around and stuff? Things would be broken in the game, like literally, like things would fall off and break. You might jump on a table to try and get some advantage on the high ground, but it might fail in your favor, because imagine, the fight goes on and then you get knocked off of the table, you'll take substantial damage, obviously, etc. I imagine like a fight on like a subway in like in a tunnel or something, and there's like a train station around or whatever. There's so many map ideas, and the maps, like me telling you map ideas is irrelevant because that's not the point, but just you get my idea, where the maps can play a role in the fighting as well. But I just imagine so much fun this would be to have these intense brawls go on, whether it's 1-on-1 or 8 all against each other, free for all, or 4-on-4 or whatever it is. I just imagine it's going to be so cool, right? And then you got to think there's so many other game types. There could be one with like a hero or something where you'll have one player or computer player on your team who's like a boss, who maybe they have like unlimited special moves or something, so they're just doing flips nonstop, like a Shaolin monk or like a ninja or something, where they're going to be obviously harder to hit and harder to beat, and it'll be easier for them to, because with their agility and their flexibility and stuff, it'll be easier for them to hurt you, and etc. So just all this stuff, all this variety would just be great. But also just the feeling of when you have those moments when you successfully block and then counter, and there should be like a grab button of some sort where, again, not automatic. Nothing is going to be automatic. When you're fighting, where you aim is where you hit. So you're not locked on to the other fighter, following their every single movement. No, where you punch is where you punch. So if you aim at the head and you connect with their head, that's because you aimed it there, right? Which is what good fighting games do, in my opinion. I hate it when it's locked on to the other fighter or what. I hate that stuff. So it's entirely based on where it connected, how much force was behind it, and what other factors there needs to be. If you hit them and then they fell back and hit their head on the wall or broke a window or something, whatever. But so many different variety of that. That's why I think this would be so much fun, so cool, right? And then on top of all that, here's the best part, right? This is why I think this game could connect with almost, of course, every type of gamer. Is this a very intense, very, very well done, better than any game before, theater mode, okay? There's been a lot of games with theater mode, and they do a great job, right? But I think we could do above and beyond. This would be sweet, because imagine this. Any fight, whether you're doing a story mode or an offline mode, just you and the bots or whatever, or you and people with other controllers playing with you, or actually playing online with other people, whatever the case, anything you do, you can save in your theater mode, rewatch these fights in either first-person view from any fighter's perspective, or third-person view, or you can put the camera wherever you want, okay? So the reason I'm saying this would be one of the best games ever, imagine the footage that you could have. You can edit it the way you want to, and the clips, you could put these online on YouTube and stuff, and on all the other websites that you want, and just imagine that, like, if these are edited the way you want them to, there is unlimited number of replay value that comes with these fights, because you can make a whole movie out of these fights. Like, seriously, the best fights we've ever seen in our life come from movies that were made in Hong Kong in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now, imagine a game that is done well, and you can do these fights, show them off to people, and then edit them and just get the best moment. Have like slow motion edits. You can do like color edits, filter edits, like wherever in the game. I'm saying, like, already in the game, the base game. And so then the replay value would be absolutely insane. Just imagine sharing your clips online. You might have a 10-minute fight with someone, right? And you'll be able to share that. You'll be able to be like, whoa, did you see that? I thought the fight was over when he did that backflip and then he fell off of the bar, and then that guy was doing a run and jump. He tried to tackle him, and then he punched him in the abdomen, and he fell over, but then when he was on the ground, he blocked him, and he managed to somehow get off of the ground and get back up and continue fighting. Obviously, I'm making that up, but whatever. I'm saying all of this, the stories are just never ending. I mean, the possibilities are limitless. So imagine that, a theater mode, right? So therefore, even potentially, even if you're losing, like if you were not good at this game, the fights still might look really cool, and you could save the fights and share them with this theater mode thing I'm talking about. It's amazing. Like this, that's why I think this could appeal to a lot of different gamers, because you might lose a fight or two or a lot, but then what if the video of the fight that you get to keep looks really cool? Then who cares? You can tell people, hey, I had a really cool fight and I can show you this and stuff, and you can edit it the way you want to, and do all sorts of stuff. You could I just imagine how many people would flock just to see the videos of the fights, just not even just play the game, but just to see the videos of the fights. So it's like two completely different worlds. You got the experiencing the game itself, playing it firsthand, versus watching fights that stemmed from this game and just doing that. Because some people just like to watch fights. I like watching fights. You just do that. And then finally, here's the last part. Betting, gambling. And I don't mean real money, by the way. Absolutely not. But imagine this would be a game mode. This would be the best game mode. 100%. Some type of gambling thing where when you're online, you can bet a certain number of whatever, 'cause it's made up anyway, so points, whatever you want to call it. And so you can bet on this team or this team, or if it's a one-on-one fight, this guy or this guy, or if it's a three-way free-for-all, whatever, bet on this guy or the whatever. And imagine how intense that would be, because you'll have like 3 human players or 2 computer players, 1 human player, whatever the case, the combination is irrelevant. But then in the lobby, you might have 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 people, because the 90% of them are going to only be spectators there to see if they win their gambling bets, which are fake currency, of course, in the game. But just imagine how intense that would be. It would be so cool to bet and to see, like who won, and then you get points from it. You can gamble and do something with it. Obviously, I'm working the kinks out. It's just an idea in my head. I'm not saying I know what you would use the points or the money for in the game's currency. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. Maybe cosmetic things. Maybe you want to buy some cool bandanas or something, or like robes or something. I don't know. It's just ideas. Maybe you can customize your own maps, and maybe that currency lets you buy stuff for your maps. I'm making this up as I go, and I'm willing to collaborate if people have other ideas. And another thing, this game with this many buttons, this many type of attacks that I've already named, obviously you wouldn't be able to play this on a mobile device, unless you have a controller or whatever. But I think this would be sweet. Imagine if there's an app on the mobile devices, phones and iPads or whatever, so you're not like playing the game, because you'd have to like buy it in normal price or whatever to do it with a real controller or keyboard and stuff. But imagine if you could do just the spectating and the gambling part of the game. How amazing would that be? Because then you got your phone with you. You're on a long road trip in the vehicle, or you're walking in the park, or you're on break at work or whatever, and you can go on. You can say, hey, let's see what's going on with the fights today in this game, and then you can find one, click one, do a bet, and then otherwise you could set up one where it's like, okay, I'm going to make the computer players fight if no one's online or whatever, and just have fun watching fights. They're going to play out randomly and differently every single time, and then you win or lose your fake currency from the game. The possibilities are endless. Therefore, this game would be fun even on the phone. On the phone, it would be fun. It's like, imagine that you'd have fun playing it, where you're actually doing the fighting, and then going into your theater mode to collect the videos and edit it the way you want to and everything, and you feel cool when you land that crazy hit where you thought you were going to lose, and then somehow you grabbed his arm in midair and then kicked him right in the throat or whatever, and you can be like, oh, look, I did that. I can show you video. But now it also can appeal to people that just want to see a brand new fight every single time, never knowing what's going to happen, because the possibilities are endless. It could be a 5-second fight. It could be a 10-minute fight or something. And being able to, put their, hypothetical money, not real money, of course, but in it, and just be like, just pass the time by watching some cool fights that are going to be different every single time you do it. So like I said, this game would appeal to so many types of gamers. I think this would be crazy. No idea what it'd be called or anything, but I think it can be done. That is my idea for the best idea for a fighting kung fu type of game. Let's make it happen. I would play it, I would watch it and enjoy it and edit a lot of my clips and everything. It'd be so much fun. Let's somehow make it happen. Let's do it.